Well, let's get comfortable in our seats. You can tell from the music that the theme today is There Is Only Love. So we allow that loving energy to infill us now. And however we get to that quiet place that the singers have sung about in every song this morning, that place in spirit where there is only love, we allow our breathing to take us there. We close our eyes if we need to. We can follow that breath that makes our chests rise and fall. And let us focus on our heart space, that space that we associate with love. We let it continue to rise and fall with each breath. And let us bring to our awareness something or someone that has brought us joy, that has brought us peace, that has brought us a contentment in life. And as we keep our awareness on whatever that is, it could be a pet, it could be a child, it could be a loved one. We allow that feeling to fill us to overflowing. And with each breath in, we feel that contentment, that joy, that appreciation, that gratitude, that love to swell even more fully within us so that we can feel it behind our eyes, in our jaws, relaxing our jaws, filling our arms and legs and the trunk of our bodies. We allow this feeling to fill us so full that it spills out from us. This joy, this love, this compassion that we're feeling is flowing into this room now and blessing everyone in it. Whether they're in front of us, behind us, next to us. We feel this presence flowing through us so fully that we intentionally bless everyone in this room. We allow it to expand even further. This presence that started with just a memory within us was already there. The memory just awakened it and allowed it to fill us more and more fully. We let it expand out beyond, into the community, into our state, into our country, into this world. We know this world can use a little more loving kindness today. So we allow the love that is in our hearts to be that presence in the world, despite any appearance to the contrary. The love that started within us is stronger, greater than any appearance of anything else. So we take a moment just in the silence, listening to the music, and letting this feeling keep flowing in us, through us, all around us, circling the globe with its loving presence. as we are blessing others on the planet, we feel that blessing returned to us 1,000-fold when we open our hearts to be the loving presence. We too are blessed by loving presence. We allow this presence to fill us, to be us. And for that we are grateful. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and allow that love that has already filled you look on your surroundings with love. Happy Mother's Day. Can't say it enough. I'm going to start out with a scripture reading, and this one's a little long because it tells a story. It's from the book of Ruth, and it's the story of Naomi and Ruth in particular. It's my favorite story for Mother's Day. So in this setting for this particular story, remember that historically speaking, women only recently have been able to own property, to have money, to be self-sufficient. In this time period, these women had to depend on their closest male relative, whether it was a father, a husband, a son, a brother, a cousin. They were not allowed to have any possessions of any value. Can you imagine that, ladies? I mean, just, anyway, all right, so, but that was then. This is now. So it just, okay, so stop. All right, so this particular passage is from the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verses 6 through 18. In this particular time frame, in this particular setting, disaster has struck Naomi and her two daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah. Their husbands died and left them bereft, right? Because that's what happened. There were no males nearby to support them. So we're picking up this story right after that happened. And it's, then she, meaning Naomi, started to return with her daughters-in-law from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had considered his people and given them food. So the girls were from Moab. Her daughters-in-law were Moabites. So she set out from the place where she had been living, she and her two daughters-in-law, and they went on their way to go back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal with you kindly." This just makes me cry, I'm sorry. "May the Lord deal with you kindly as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that you may find security, each of you in the house of your husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. They said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I should have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you then wait until they are grown? Would you refrain from remarrying? No, my daughters, it has been far more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me." Then they wept aloud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not press me to leave you or turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people. Your God, my God, where you die, I will die. There I will be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you." And Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, and she said no more. Okay, why would I cry at this story? Because of the unconditional love that those two have for each other, right? How beautifully Naomi treated her daughters-in-law, that they would want to stay with her, even though it was to a foreign country, one that they were unfamiliar. They were leaving their kin. They were leaving anybody that they knew that they grew up with to follow Naomi. But she said, no, go find a husband. Go back to your mother's house. Just be safe. Find someone to take care of you. Because Naomi had to go find a distant male relative to claim her husband's property on her behalf. And she didn't want them to be spinsters and destitute because of her. But Ruth had another idea, right? She wanted to stay with her mother-in-law, whom she loved desperately. I think this story makes me cry because I really loved my mom. She was just I wouldn't say she was the sweetest woman on earth. She was Irish after all. She was pretty strong-willed, but she loved us 6 kids. Now that is a testament to mother's love. Being able to love 6 kids who were all only children. Mom had 6 only children. We all had our own temperament, our own reality that we each lived in. And she loved all of us anyway. It was trying at times. I remember when Mom decided she was going to quit being a mother because she had had it being a mother. We were all young adults. And by golly, we needed to stand up on our own 2 feet and quit asking her where stuff was. So, my mom. I didn't realize exactly how fortunate I was that I believe that I chose my parents wisely. I chose loving mother and father who loved each other. There was no doubt in our minds that those two ganged up on the kids out of love for each other. I mean, they had to, right? But when my friends started asking Mom for advice, started using my mother's wisdom as their coaching, I knew that she was a pretty special lady because she was mom to me, but their moms couldn't give them advice. It was as if their moms couldn't see who they were becoming, couldn't see them for their truth. But my mom could. And she was just, I'll quit waxing philosophic. I miss my mom. So every day, I miss my mom. And I will oftentimes get quiet so I can ask her a question, and then I hear in the voice, I stopped being your mother. You have to figure these things out on your own now. So, Mom, I love Mom. So we're continuing with the theme for the month of Growing Gracefully with an emphasis on personal development. Thank you, Bob. Yeah. And so the personal development focus for today's message is developing a consciousness of transcendent love. Now, I'll use my I statements. I associate transcendent love with my mother because honestly, we dragged her through all kinds of rascal kid stuff, and yet she loved each and every one of us. So, I was doing a little research on Mother's Day. It's not just a Hallmark holiday, which I think is kind of fun because we really have been celebrating mothers and the mother energy throughout history. Before the Judeo-Christian influence, it was a feast, a spring festival called Hilaria. Doesn't that sound like fun? It makes me laugh just saying it. In England, during the Middle Ages, the church chose the 4th Sunday in Lent to honor Mary, the mother of Jesus, and they called it Mothering Sunday. And then our celebration today is pretty recent in historical terms. Shortly after her own mother died, a woman named Anna Jarvis started a large letter writing campaign to institute a celebration of mothers. And on May 10, in 1908, a church in Grafton, West Virginia, and another one in Philadelphia dedicated a Sunday to mothers, inaugurating the first Mother's Day celebration. Well, Miss Jarvis didn't stop there. She pursued the government, and finally, in 1914, Congress passed a resolution to establish the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day, officially recognized as a celebration of mothers. So all of you who are mothers, God bless each and every one of you. And all of you who have mothers, God bless you too. So we wouldn't be here without them. So the talk today is the simple things. And when I think of moms, especially my mom, I think of this, the simple things that moms do out of love. Okay, my I statements, what my mom did out of love. She cut our sandwiches on the diagonal so we could have triangles. Not little squares, but triangles, because we like triangles. And one of us, I don't remember who, didn't like crusts. So she cut off the crusts. She saved them to mix in with meatloaf because you don't waste food when you're raised in the Depression. But she would do those little things. She'd cut tags out of our shirts if they were scratching the back of our neck. And she would, she always knew when something was wrong. If I was stewing about something, didn't matter if I was physically present or in another state, she'd pick up the phone and call and say, what's going on? Because she intuitively knew that there was a disturbance in my force. And she just wanted to help assure me that someone loved me, that someone thought about me and cared about me. Now, did she only do it? I'm number 4 of 6. She did that with all of us, every single one. She just had this knowing about her and acted on it. I think that was pretty cool. So these little things that she did, little things that moms do to let their kids know. Actually, I don't even know if that's true. If let their kids know, you just do it. It's part of being a mom. When you decide to be a mom, you sign up. You just sign up and do. You be present for your kids. Is that, am I getting hit? I'm getting some heads nodding here. Yeah, it's true. So when in doing research for this particular message, there's over 100 references to the word love in the Bible. Did you guys know that? Over 100, which I thought was pretty good. Over 80 of them are in the New Testament. So, 20 in the Old Testament, but that's all right. I found Ruth, the book of Ruth, that demonstrates that. Today we tend to use the word love, and I say tend because we don't all do this, but we tend to use the word love as personal kind of love, the affection that we have for someone or the attraction that we have for something, like, I love driving my car, whatever that is. We even use it for a tennis term, a 0 score in tennis, the word love. But there's a transcendent love, and the songs today sing to that transcendence. It's God's pure essence of being that binds the universe and everything in it together in a divine harmony. So as we're in this transcendent state of love, and we don't have to be gurus, and we don't have to sit cross-legged on our floors. I would never be able to get up if I did that right at this moment. But we don't have to be in any particular mode to experience that transcendence. Sometimes it comes like a whoosh of love. That's how I know when my mom is visiting in spirit. I feel this whoosh of love. It's the only way I can describe it. It just kind of moves through me. And it is as if this blissful peace fills me. There's a transcendence to it. I didn't cause it to happen. No one came up to me and said, "Oh, you're just so cute today." And then I go, "Oh, I love you so much." That doesn't have to happen. It's just this feeling that comes out of me from God presence, right? It's that transcendence of love. So this particular transcendent power that Jesus used transforms lives, right? It cures illness. It calms storms. It feeds thousands of people with, a few loaves and fishes. Moms did that too. Do that today. Feeding it. I promise you, we had more friends in our dining room table on a Sunday than there was food in the house. But somehow that food multiplied and all those kids got fed. It was a loaves and fishes miracle pretty much every Sunday at our house. But it was really the miracle of love that caused it to happen. We have a joke in our house. We have signals. When there's company in the house, there's FHB and MIK. Is anybody familiar with those? FHB is family hold back. Family hold back on the mashed potatoes. FHB gravy. But if it's MIK, then it's more in kitchen. And then we could eat as many mashed potatoes and have as much gravy as we wanted. FHB and MIK. All right, I digress. All right, but miracle of the loaves and fishes happened in our house. So in practical metaphysics, which I brought a copy here. If you guys haven't read this yet, did you have a book study on this? Beautiful book. A series of his lectures that Mark Hicks from Truth Unity put together. Wonderful insight. Practical metaphysics, a new insight in truth. He says that in his discussion of the transcendent power of God, he tells a story of love. He tells a story. He said some time ago, a man told him a story, a problem that he had had with a friend of his. And this particular friend was a writer, and he wanted to write about an incident that happened to the man who was familiar with Eric Butterworth. And the man said he didn't really want the story published because of the people involved, and they would get upset. So he said, no, don't publish this about this incident. And because of certain phrasings and things, they would be upset. And the writer got really upset because he had already written it. He already put a lot of effort and time into the retelling of this incident. And so he stormed off and cut off the friendship. Well, the man was like, what happened here? He struggled because he missed his friend. They were actually pretty close. And he finally got the idea that he needs to get his thinking straight about his friend. Because right now it's just like absence of friend, absence of friendship, absence of camaraderie, absence. And he didn't understand why his friend got angry. So because he was a student of Eric Butterworth's, he understood that he had to separate himself from the situation and go into the silence, right? Go into that place that is of non-resistance, of non-judgment within us, within our mind. And as he sat in the silence, as he spent more time in the silence, he believed that if he loved more, and not just a personal love, but that transcendent love, that all he had to do was be love. So he sat in a loving state. And then he brought the image of his friend into his loving awareness and sat with his friend in this loving state. And he did it over and over again. He never reached out and contacted the guy, never wrote him a letter, never called him. And suddenly, the guy contacted him and apologized for the disruption that he caused in this man's life. He said, also, my attorney told me that if I had published the story as it was, I would have opened myself up to libel lawsuits. So we don't always know what the bigger picture is. We don't always know on this level, on our personal level, how to resolve things. But we can always rely on that transcendent state of love if we choose to change our thoughts about a person or a situation, if we choose to be in a state of love and see the situation or the person with the eyes of love, something will happen. We will have something restored to us that was lost. The friendship, the camaraderie, whatever it is. If we're willing to take that time and be in that loving presence and just be. Love is not something we do. Love is something we are. It's different. We tend to love with our personal love, which can be conditional. We want to be that unconditionally loving presence that this man in the story was, and also that Naomi was and Ruth was. This unconditionally loving presence. She loved her daughters-in-law so much that she wanted them taken care of, and she was willing to go on that journey back to Judea by herself so that the girls would be protected. But Ruth loved her mother-in-law so much that she couldn't even think of being separate from her. So I like looking up the word meanings. And Moab, in Charles Fillmore's Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, tells us that Moab means our external conditions in life. It also represents the body. But in this particular story, it's the external conditions of life. So the girls are all in Moab. They're in this external condition, which wasn't real positive for them, having lost their husbands. And instead of staying in Moab, Ruth decided to join Naomi to journey to Judah. Now, Judah means praise of God and celebration of God. So we can look at this story. If I wanted to read both chapters, but we don't have that much time. The book of Ruth is a story of transcendent love that heals and restores, because as we journey through the 2 chapters in the book of Ruth, Naomi observes, loves her daughter-in-law so much, says, hey, go down to Boaz, my distant male relative, and see if you can get a job following the field workers and pick up the little gleanings and follow them and put it in the basket. And then you can earn income. And then she'd go, oh, do this and do that. Well, Ruth eventually marries Boaz and has a child who becomes King David's grandfather. So there is a happy, happy ending to this story in the book of Ruth, because these 2 women chose to be a state of love. And in keeping their focus on being in a state of love, divine ideas came to Naomi, and she directed Ruth. And everything that had been taken away from these women in Moab in external conditions was restored in the land of Judah, in the land of celebration and praise of God. So their journey is a transcendent one. Their journey is overcoming physical conditions and adversity and having their lives restored with joy and plenty and abundance. So transcendent love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes love to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. That is right out of Charles Fillmore about the power of love, the transcendent power of love. It can only see the good. That's when Butterworth's friend in the story, but the man in the story of Butterworth's story, he was able to be in that state where he saw only good. He saw his friend as his friend. He didn't see his friend as, somebody cranky and dissolving their friendship. He only saw him with the eyes of love. Naomi and Ruth only saw with the eyes of love their situation. Isn't that a fun thing to practice for this week, for Mother's Day? To see all of our situations and everyone in our sphere of influence, everyone in our experience with eyes of love. See, our personal love may be conditional, but we also are transcendent love. And we can be in that state of transcendent love over and over and over again until we only see through the appearance, through the external conditions, into the loving presence of God in each and every person. I know moms do it. I think we can all do it. If a mom can do it, I can do it. All right. Well, it's interesting. We just don't know what simple acts of kindness will do. We just don't know what sitting in the silence, in that loving presence, will accomplish. We just don't know. But something wonderful will. It may not be what's on our agenda, but we get to let go of our agenda because God's is much bigger, right? So in that loving field, that loving energy that we get to participate in, that we get to experience, that we get to share and bless others with, blesses us as well. And we are restored. Okay, I'm going to stop here because time's up. But I have to tell you real quick about my sister who has 4 children. She has a sweatshirt. The sweatshirt says, "Typical mother or ruthless dictator. Future historians will decide." She's ordered 10 copies. She wants more. She wants to never be out of that sweatshirt. All right. Butterworth tells us we don't need to change people. We just need to see them right. We don't need to set them right. We need to see them right. We need to see them with those loving eyes of God. We need to see them as a mother sees her children, with the love of God. Happy Mother's Day. God bless you, each and every one. Thank you. Well, let's move into our offering time. And if you have your offering with you, wonderful. If you give online or once a month, or if you're back in Michigan or wherever you're from and you're giving online, hold your offering intention or your offering in your hands and bless this prayer with love. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so, and so it is. Amen.